You know that feeling when your phone rings and your stomach drops before you even answer it? Like your body knows something bad is on the other end before your brain catches up. Yeah, that was me. It was 6:12 a.m., sun barely up, and I was halfway through a solo ride out past the scrub hills of southern Nevada. Just me, my bike, and that quiet desert air that makes you feel like the world's finally leaving you alone. Then my screen lit up. Unknown caller, Desert Valley Medical Center. I picked up and said, "Yeah?" A woman's voice, calm like she was ordering coffee, goes, "Is this Mason Reed? I'm calling about your grandfather, Mr. Everett Reed. He's currently in the ER. He had an accident." I pulled the clutch so hard my hand cramped. "An accident?" I said. "What kind of accident?" She hesitated, just long enough to tell me she was reading from a script. "It appears he fell." And I knew, right then, that was a lie. Because my grandpa, Everett Reed, didn't fall. That man was 83 years old, sure, but he had the kind of stubborn balance you get when you've survived 3 wars and a bad marriage. The last time he fell, according to him, was out of a helicopter in '71, and he still tells it like it happened yesterday. So no, Grandpa didn't fall. Somebody put him down. I didn't even turn around like a normal person. I leaned the bike into a tight U-turn on the highway shoulder like I was trying to scrape the asphalt off the earth, and I rode back toward town like the devil was chasing me. Because in a way he was. When I walked into that hospital room, I smelled antiseptic and old fear. Grandpa was sitting upright, but barely. His left arm was wrapped in a cast so thick it looked like a white log. His cheekbone was purple. There was a clean little row of stitches above his eyebrow, like somebody had zipped his face back together. He saw me and tried to smirk. "Took you long enough," he said, voice scratchy like sandpaper. I forced myself to breathe. "Yeah, traffic." Then I looked at his arm again. "Tell me what happened." He stared out the window like the answer was written in the clouds. "It's the neighborhood people," he finally muttered. "The neighborhood people," I repeated. "You mean the HOA?" He didn't answer, but his jaw tightened. That was all I needed. "Now listen. I'm not some hothead. I don't go around looking for fights. I've spent most of my adult life doing the opposite, trying to avoid trouble, trying to keep my temper on a leash. But when somebody touches your family, when somebody decides your blood is an easy target, that leash snaps." I leaned in closer. "Grandpa, who did it?" He sighed like the truth tasted bitter. "There's a woman," he said. "New board president. Real estate type. Always dressed like she's going to court. Name's Sabrina Klein." He said it like it hurt to say her name. "She's been squeezing everyone. Fees, fines, rules. Made me repaint my shed twice. Threatened liens. She's trying to force the old folks out." "Why?" I asked. Grandpa's eyes flicked to mine. "Because she's selling the land. Not just my lot. All of it. Whole neighborhood. Some tech development deal. She needs everyone to sign." I felt my throat go dry. "And you refused?" He nodded. "Yesterday she sent 2 men. Not neighbors. Not some volunteer committee. These were security types. Tactical boots. Earpieces. One of them grabbed me when I told them to get off my lawn." Grandpa paused. His lips trembled, but he pushed through it. The other one bent my arm back until it snapped. I went cold. "They said it was a compliance check," Grandpa whispered. "Then they told me I had 3 days to sign the paperwork. Or next time, it wouldn't be my arm." I sat back, breathing slow through my nose, trying not to let rage spill out of me like gasoline. "Did you call the cops?" Grandpa's laugh was dry and ugly. "They said it's a civil matter." "Of course they did." I stood up so fast the chair scraped the floor. Grandpa reached out with his good hand and grabbed my wrist. "Mason," he said, "don't do something stupid." I looked down at him. "I'm not going to do something stupid," I said. I leaned closer, voice low. "I'm going to do something unforgettable." I left the hospital and drove straight to Grandpa's house in Cedar Hollow Estates, a quiet little grid of streets outside Henderson. Used to be the kind of neighborhood where kids rode bikes and old men argued about barbecue. Not anymore. The moment I pulled up, I saw the front door. Splintered. Like somebody kicked it in. Inside, the lamp was on the floor. A chair was knocked sideways. One wall had a fresh dent, like a shoulder slammed into it. That's not an HOA dispute. That's a warning. That's terror. I stood there in that silence, and something in me shifted, like a gear clicking into place. I made 2 phone calls. The first was to my cousin Jax. Jax doesn't run a book club. Jax is president of a motorcycle crew called the Black Timber Riders. They're the kind of men who don't smile unless there's a reason. When he picked up, I said, "You busy?" He said, "Not anymore." I told him what happened. He didn't ask questions. He didn't give advice. He just said, "Where do you want us?" The second call was to someone I hadn't spoken to in years. A guy named Cole Mercer. Private investigator, former military intelligence, the kind of man who knows how to find secrets people bury deep. He answered like he was expecting me. I said, "I need eyes." He said, "I'll bring binoculars and a shovel." By late afternoon, the street started to shake. Harleys. A dozen of them. Jax rolled in first. Big beard, mirrored sunglasses, tattoos climbing his neck like vines. Behind him came the rest. Men built like they were carved out of old oak. They parked in a neat line in front of Grandpa's house. Curtains twitched all up and down the street. People watching like they couldn't decide if this was salvation or disaster. A nervous guy from 2 houses down came hustling over, hands flapping like he was trying to swat invisible flies. His name was Gary. He wore khaki shorts in fear. "Mason," he whispered. "This is bad. Sabrina Klein. She has cameras. Drones. Patrols. Like actual patrols." I blinked. "Drones?" Gary nodded so fast his glasses almost fell off. "At night. Little buzzing things. I saw one hovering by my window last week." Jax looked at me. "That true?" I nodded slowly. "Sounds like she's running her own little police state." Jax grinned. "Cute." That night, we saw them. Small drones lifting up from backyards like mechanical mosquitoes. Red lights blinking. Hovering at corners. Jax's brother, Nico, was our tech guy, skinny, twitchy, always carrying a laptop like it was a weapon. He watched the drone pattern and said, "These aren't even secure. Whoever set this up thinks the neighborhood is too dumb to fight back." He cracked his knuckles. "Give me 40 minutes. While Nico worked, Cole Mercer showed up in a dusty pickup and handed me a folder. "Here's your HOA queen," he said. Inside was Sabrina's record. Real estate licenses, Shell LLCs, and a developer connection. Company name, Virion Dynamics. And the man behind it? A name I hadn't seen in years. Gavin Rourke. My blood went hot. Because Gavin Rourke wasn't just some developer. He was a ghost from my past. A contractor who sold out a unit I served with overseas, then disappeared when things got bloody. I stared at that name and felt my stomach twist. This wasn't random. This was targeted. And if Rourke was involved, this wasn't about property values. This was about control and money and making people vanish quietly. At 11:48 p.m., Nico looked up from his laptop with a grin that didn't belong on a human face. "We're in," he said. He turned the screen. Live drone feed. And there she was, Sabrina Klein, standing in a park under a streetlight, talking to a man in a suit. Even through grainy footage, I knew the posture. The smugness. The way he held himself like the world owed him space. Gavin Rourke. Nico boosted the audio. Sabrina's voice came through tinny. "It's getting messy, Gavin. These residents won't sign. And now there's bikers." Rourke laughed softly. "Then squeeze harder," he said. "Deadline is tomorrow night. If we don't get every signature, Virion walks." Sabrina said, "I already sent my guys." Rourke replied, calm as ordering dessert. "Then send smarter guys." Then he handed her a duffel bag. And my heart stopped when I heard what he said next. "Gas main. Cul-de-sac. Easy rupture. Make it look like an accident. Half the block will be evacuated by morning." Sabrina giggled like it was cute. "Oh my God," Rourke said. "You'll be there with paperwork when they're homeless and scared. That's when people sign." I stared at the screen, fists clenched. This wasn't intimidation anymore. This was attempted mass murder. I turned to Jax. "We're out of time." Jax nodded once. "Then we get loud." We caught their demo team at 2:03 a.m. Unmarked van. 2 men. One carried a shotgun. The other had a tool bag heavy enough to ruin a spine. They walked straight to the gas access plate in the center of the cul-de-sac, like they owned the street. They never saw us. Jax took the guard down with a clean elbow strike, sharp and brutal. The shotgun hit the grass with a soft thud. I grabbed the demo guy before he could scream, shoved him down hard, and planted my boot on his chest. "Don't move," I said. "You're not dying tonight, but you're also not leaving." We zip-tied them, dragged them into shadows, and pulled the explosives out of the bag. Real C4. Enough to turn a sleeping neighborhood into headlines. Inside the van, we found blueprints, burner phones, and something else, a thick envelope. Contracts. bribe records, wire transfers. And then I saw it. A signature on one page. Everett Reed. My grandpa. My hands started shaking. No way. That couldn't be real. I stared so hard my eyes hurt. Then I heard Grandpa's voice in my head. Don't do something stupid. What if he wasn't a victim? What if he was part of it? I felt sick. But there wasn't time. Because the HOA meeting was still happening the next night, and Sabrina was still going to push those contracts. So we set a trap. Next evening, 7 p.m., the community clubhouse was packed. People sat hunched in plastic chairs like prisoners waiting for sentencing. Sabrina walked in wearing a cream blazer, holding a stack of contracts like they were holy scripture. Rourke sat beside her, smiling like a shark. Then Sabrina began. In light of recent safety concerns, she said sweetly, Virion Dynamics is offering a generous buyout. That's when the big screen behind her flickered, went black, then turned on. Drone footage. Her and Rourke in the park. Audio loud. Gas main. Make it look like an accident. The room erupted. Sabrina's face drained of color so fast, it was almost impressive. Rourke stood up, shut it off, but he couldn't, because Jax and the riders walked in and blocked every exit, standing shoulder to shoulder like a wall of judgment. I stepped forward, calm. Sit down, I said to Rourke. You're about to watch your own movie. The screen changed again. Wire transfers. Shell accounts. Sabrina's name highlighted like a neon sign. Then we played the confession from one of the men we captured. The crowd turned on her instantly. People yelling, crying, standing up, pointing. Sabrina started shaking. Rourke reached inside his jacket and pulled a pistol. The room froze. He aimed it at me, eyes wild. And that's when the last twist hit. A voice from the front row. Put it down, Gavin. Grandpa. Standing. Arm in a sling. Face bruised. Holding an old tape recorder. He pressed play. Rourke's voice filled the room. Take the money, old man. You started this. Finish it. Then Grandpa's voice. I agreed to expose Sabrina. Not destroy my neighborhood. I'm out. Then a struggle. A crack. Grandpa yelling in pain. The sound of his arm breaking. I felt my chest collapse. The signature. It wasn't betrayal. It was bait. Grandpa had been undercover, feeding evidence to the state fraud unit. And he used me, my anger, as the hammer. Before Rourke could move, the doors slammed open. State troopers. Weapons up. Drop it. Rourke's hand shook. He looked around, realizing the whole world was watching him now. And for the first time, he looked scared. He dropped the gun. Troopers tackled him. Sabrina started sobbing like a child. And just like that, it was over. The next morning, news trucks lined the street. Drones were gone. SUVs vanished. Sabrina and Rourke were in custody. Virion Dynamics cut ties like they didn't know what was happening. Classic corporate cleanup. Grandpa sat on his porch with coffee in his good hand. I sat beside him. You scared the hell out of me, I said. He smirked. Good. Means you still care. I stared at the neighborhood. Kids riding bikes again like the fear had never existed. Then Grandpa said something that still messes with me. There's a line between doing what's right and doing what works. I looked at him. Where'd we land? He shrugged. Depends who's judging. And that's the part that sticks. Because we won, yeah? But we also crossed lines. We didn't wait for permission. We didn't play nice. And if we hadn't done what we did, that cul-de-sac might have burned. So here's my question for you. If the system refuses to protect the innocent, do you still owe the system your obedience? If someone breaks your family, do you respond with patience or power? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because I promise, this one doesn't have a clean answer. And if you've ever dealt with HOA abuse, corrupt authority, or people in suits who think they can bully regular families, I want to hear your story too. And hey, if you enjoyed this, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Because the next story is even crazier, and you won't believe how it ends.